It's an uprising. It's an uprising.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Green Live stream. I'm your host, Edie Arndell, with my wonderful co-host, Mr. Scott Freed.
Hey, everybody.
Scott?
How's it going?
We have a very special guest, Mr. Jose Vega. How's it going, Jose?
Howdy, it's going really well. I'm really happy to be joining all of you. I actually just got word that today is Shakespeare's birthday and his death day. Yeah, that's right. April 23rd, 1564, he was born, and he died April 23rd, 1616. So
all right, let's have a lot of Shakespeare quotes tonight.
I can do that. I can do that.
You can.
It ties into politics quite well.
I love Shakespeare sonnets. I've memorized lots of Shakespeare sonnets and monologues. So
you go.
Whenever appropriate, I'll bring it out.
please do, because I won't be sharing too much. I'm not a Shakespeare expert.
I don't think. I think you have to really study to be an expert. But really just his writing and what was the movie with Gwyneth Paltrow? Shakespeare in Love.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
there you go.
Just so good. So it made you really appreciate what he, of course it was fictional, but what he went through and falling in love and how his plays came to be and how, great artists are usually not famous in their time.
Absolutely.
Well, we're trying to make you famous in your time, Jose. So
a little bit about Jose. You're a 26-year-old political organizer and leader in the international youth movement for peace through development, founded by the late Lyndon LaRouche and Helga Zepp-LaRouche. I'm probably saying that wrong.
Great job. No, that you're better than most.
Hundreds of millions of people across the planet have watched Jose and his associates challenge the war-mongering U.S. political elite. Jose has courageously intervened at events by Joe Biden, Mike Pompeo, Kamala Harris, Hakeem Jeffries, Nancy Pelosi, AOC, the New York Times, Washington Post, and New York 15's own AIPAC airhead Rep. Ritchie Torres.
Yes, Ritchie.
Yeah,
so that seems like a lot to talk about. So you can just take on any of that if you want.
Well, I guess I should start off with the elephant in the room, which, is the LaRouche question, right? So I purposely, actually, when I first confronted Kamala Harris back in 2021, I kind of liked that first got headlines and nobody knew it was me. People didn't attribute that to me. And I kind of liked that because, the New York Post and other people were accepting op-eds from people who were saying, I feel the same way. And I kind of like the idea of being this anonymous everyman, just, like voicing the frustrations of people in New York and the Bronx and whatnot. But then when I confronted AOC almost 1 year later, and that one got really big, I decided to, and then people were attributing that to me, and people were asking, and AOC did this too, but people were saying oh, this guy's a Republican. No, this guy's a Democrat. No, this guy's this guy's that. And I wanted to just one, throw a curveball at people, because then I wanted to challenge. So when I was 15 years old, I got associated with the LaRouche organization. I was coming home from school. I would see their tables and stuff when they did the mustache on Obama, and I thought, wow, that must be racist somehow. And I did.
I didn't know it was them.
Yeah. So, and then I decided to go to their meetings and stuff. And then next thing I know, I'm on stage with people like Bernard Lafayette, who was one of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s lieutenants. And this organization is talking about nonviolent direct creative action. And I'm like, this is not at all what I'm seeing on the internet. And, for people who watch opera, I love opera. I don't know if you've ever seen The Magic Flute. The Magic Flute is one of my favorite operas. And the beginning of it is that the Queen of the Night comes to Tamino and says, you have to go rescue my daughter from the evil clutches of Zarastro. And when Tamino gets to Zarastro's castle, he's like, you fiend. And then he explains, but then Zarastro's like, hey, chill, man. I'm not who you think I am. And he's actually this really loving guy who wants to, create a great, anyway. So I put so that was my association with the LaRouche organization. So when people were attributing all kinds of things to me, and I didn't like that. One was because what I ultimately wanted was for people to go and do that. I wanted people to go and confront politicians the way I was.
Yeah.
I didn't care what anybody was. I didn't care if you were libertarian, Republican, Democrat, Green Party, this, that. None of that mattered to me. All was, I see an injustice happening. You should be the person confronting this. You don't like the way I did it? Do it yourself and show me how to do it. So, but instead of letting people ascribe things to me, I'm like, no. I'm a member of an international organization that promotes peace through development. You may have heard it, Lyndon LaRouche. And then it was like, oh man, I did that purposely because I wanted people to be challenged. I wanted people to think like, well, when I Google Lyndon LaRouche, I see this, this, and this, but yet I see this kid who's saying all these things that I agree with. So what kind of
Like,
yeah, right. Like I wanted that tension to be there so people would have to think, before just reading something and thinking they know everything about whatever it is they think I'm associated with. So that's why I put that and I leave that there on purpose because one, I don't want to hide anything from anyone. In fact, when I first ran in 2024, there were people here in the district who we're like, look, man, if you just drop the LaRouche name, you would win, and I could help you, but I'm not going to come anywhere with a 50-foot pole. See, if I start making moral concessions like that now, what do you think I would be like in office?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I have no intention of ever,
but we like to say what good is winning if once you get a seat at the table, you have to sit down and shut up.
Exactly. And I have no intention. I'm trying to get to the table kicking and screaming.
Right.
Which is what I do. But so yeah, just something to start with. So that's who I am.
No. I think, it's interesting. I, heard about LaRouche and, I've come through a long process, right? And I just heard like the worst horrible things about Lyndon LaRouche and, and now as an adult and maybe grown up a little, I can realize, especially since he ran for president, watch out, because they love to attack people who challenge, right? And that just happened. I mean, I didn't really have an opinion of LaRouche, but then I happened to watch an interview with Diane Sayre, and I was blown away. I was really blown away. She was really amazing. And she actually ran for Senate. I think she's done it a couple times, right?
Yeah, she was my ballot buddy this last election cycle. And then in 2022, I helped her get on the ballot. So yeah.
Okay. And one of the things that really hit me was that this is New York. The ballot requirement is 45,000. She did that. And this was when us Green parties, we tried hard. We didn't reach it. We got really close for Jill.
We did 42.
Yeah. And so it's like, wow. I mean, that's a massive accomplishment. And so props to LaRouche for being able to pull that off,
Yeah,
but, I mean, it's brutal.
Started on that.
It's brutal.
We did it once in 2022, and that took everything out of me. And then I was concerned because not only did we have to get Diane on the ballot, which was again another 45K.
Yeah.
Then we also had to get me on the ballot too, which for me it was 12K.
Okay.
And in the same time frame. So it's like not only are we pooling from the same resources, which was just our, volunteer base, but it's like, can we really get both of us on the ballot? And I would feel really bad if Diane didn't get on the ballot and I did, but we weren't taking failure as an option. And one of the things that really helped at that time was independent shows like yours, where I was coming on to places and I was saying like, I need your help. If you're going to help me get on the ballot, I need your help. And I'm proud to say that over 100 people came to my help, came to my rescue pretty much. Not just people in New York, people came from outside of New York. I remember, there's people that I could name that I won't name. They know who they are. So I'll name their states. I had people from Missouri, California, North Carolina. And I'm only naming them because I haven't named them before. And I keep forgetting to ask if they want to be named. Okay. Well, I can name one. Morgan came out from North Carolina. And we had people come out as far as Illinois, California, Florida, Delaware. We had people from all over just come in, pay for their own hotels, and then petitioned for like a few days, and then they were bounced. And even with all that help, I was still like drained emotionally, mentally. I mean, I was up at like 6 a.m. in the street, and then I wasn't going home till like 6:30 or 7 in the evening. You know, getting 100 signatures a day by yourself is hard work.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
tough. That
Oh
is
my
very
God.
tough.
If there's anything I would tell people is that if you complained about somebody not getting on the ballot and you weren't out there doing the work, you don't know how hard it is.
Right.
You don't know how hard it is. It is. Oh, and you know, New York State is like one of the most notoriously difficult places to do it. They did Cuomo, who's trying to run for mayor now, did that on purpose. He raised the limit from 15,000 to 45,000.
Yep. Triple.
That was no accident. That was to keep people off the ballot.
Same time frame, in the same time frame. But
Yeah, I know how hard it is. I did petitioning last year.
Yeah, we did. For Jill. Yep.
Farmers markets, and I live in a very small town, and I ended up getting like 40 per weekend, which isn't too bad. And I only had one day to really spend on it. So,
and you know, I do appreciate the folks that are willing to cross those lines, right? I mean, left unity is something that Edie and I are trying to push, and we really struggle with. And, you know, like, I like that Jimmy Dore promoted you a lot, because, you know, he's in that realm of like, some people hate him because he's too left. Some people hate him because he's too right. Now, I wasn't a huge fan because I didn't think he was treating Jill too fairly, but except for that one, I mean, the work he's done has been fantastic, and he does maintain subject matter is the most important thing. You know, that whole thing with the Rage Against the War Machine thing. I mean, that was when there were no anti-war protests happening. And so it was really important that they had it, and everyone's slamming them for, oh my God, you're working with this person and this person and this person. And it's just, you know, that's something that the left, I'm calling it the left, has struggled with so much, is unity. And I think it's so important that we
and I would also comment that he supported the March for Medicare for All, which was a thing that I helped start.
Yes.
So he had Sharif Snuggs on, and he promoted our marches. So that was pretty great. He actually came and spoke at the LA one.
Oh wow.
He insisted. Okay. Yeah.
Nice. Excellent.
Yeah, you know, Jimmy Dore promoting me in the beginning of this was something that I didn't anticipate, and I credit a lot of the early momentum in the last campaign to him and to my friends at Do Dissidents, because they made a documentary about me. And you know,
we have a clip from that. The AOC thing is actually from that.
Oh yeah, wow. So they made this they filmed it in like April of 2023, and I was really concerned because I told them that I was going to run for Congress and that I wanted to announce in February of 2024, and I had no idea where this documentary was, if they even finished editing it or not. And then he's like, "Oh yeah, no, I finished it," and I was really concerned with showing it to people that I work with politically, because like they're not youngish, you know, they don't understand the internet or tech savvy. They're not tech savvy. They don't understand the internet. And I was also afraid, like, God, what did Keaton put together? But when I saw the documentary, I was like, oh, thank God. Like, it's a good documentary. It's well put together. And
what's the title again?
Ruckus, the making of a revolutionary. Yeah. And,
Ariel, do you want to play the clip? It's the AOC one.
From our documentary Ruckus. The full movie is available for free on this platform. Just click the link in the description to watch the full thing.
The office of Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Thank you so much
Congresswoman, none of this matters unless there's a nuclear war, which you voted to send arms and weapons to Ukraine. Tulsi Gabbard, she's left the Democratic Party. Okay, you originally voted, you ran as an outsider.
The day of the AOC intervention,
oh God, yeah, it is,
was just like any other day. We didn't think it was going to be some big thing that it is now. We didn't think it was going to be the biggest inflection point in American history that hopefully inspired other people to do it. But basically, that day, we were like, okay, it was me and Kynan and a third friend who will remain nameless because he wants to be nameless. The third friend didn't even want to intervene. He just wanted to be the cameraman. So that's why and he was a very good cameraman, as people could see in the intervention.
You're voting to start this war in Ukraine. You're voting to start a thermonuclear war in Russia and China.
But that day, we weren't thinking, okay, you're going to yell and then I'm going to... we were thinking, okay, Kynan, if you get the mic first, then you got to say blah, 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 blah. And then if I get the mic after, we say da, 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 da. Then when we walked into the place, oh, here's a note card, write your question down, and then we'll make sure the congresswoman gets it. And so when we finally sat down and Kynan and I sat apart from each other, we were like, oh my fucking God, we're not gonna be able to get hurt, are we? We're gonna have to stand up, right? And so I had just did the Bowman intervention, and that went pretty viral too. It was played on Jimmy Dore, and so he, Kynan was feeling a little like, oh, I want the spotlight too. So I was like, go ahead, brother, you go first.
Yeah.
Well, thank you to Due Dissidents. That looks like a fantastic documentary. I'm gonna have to check it out.
It's I was no that also that Jose on that screen is like, wow, I can't even that if I could go back and tell that Jose, hey, you're gonna run for Congress, don't.
Oh, don't say that.
No. I don't regret this decision at all. I mean, I'm here, I'm in it now, but the maybe anyway.
Well, you ran in 24, but you're running again in 2026. So you're already out tabling, and you had an interesting little story you were telling us backstage a minute ago. Somebody came up to you today?
Yeah, somebody came up to me today at the university we were at, which is a CCNY in Harlem. Some people are like, why is it out of district? Harlem. I love Harlem. And also because we do a rotation of campuses in the Bronx, and also of just places in general. And if people want to join us, by the way, which I'm always happy to, we always have people who join us on the tabling deployments. It's so much fun. I'm actually looking to get more people to come out with us so we can do multiple tabling events at once, right? Like if we could go out on a Saturday and there's like 3 to 4 tables out there, that would be great. But so today I was at CCNY, and we have this big sign that says Ritchie Torres genocide, dump Ritchie Torres genocide pusher. And there was a woman who came up, like a student, I think she was maybe like in her early 20s, and she's like, I really do want to know more about like what is it that we can do. She's like really pessimistic about the fact that there's been a genocide happening now for over almost 2 years. I hope we don't get to 2 years, but it may be the case that and she says like it just doesn't seem like anything is going to work. So I'm talking to her, and then like some professor who's running up from across the street, right? So like the scene is that we're on the sidewalk, we're right by a crosswalk, and across the street some professor just starts running in yelling like, no, don't you know that? No, they're LaRouches. Don't talk to them. In 2016, they told people not to vote for Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump. They told people to vote for the party.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
Totally, so like, and then,
anything but, right?
So so the student got freaked out and walked away. So I had like a shouting match with the professor in like the middle of this sidewalk in front of the university, which was like, because I started saying like, oh, really? Because he's like, Hillary Clinton should have been president. And I'm like, oh, yeah. Okay. So what, the death of Gaddafi was a good idea?
Right.
What, bombing Libya back to having slave markets was a good idea? Come on. Why would the hell would I tell people to vote for Satan incarnate herself?
Right.
And so that was fun. That was it. That was fun. And then he just like kind of like stormed away, calling us crazy. And he said he worked with Howard Dean. I don't know who that is.
Oh, he was a Democrat. Yeah.
He had the 50 state strategy, and the Democratic Party must have not liked the way he was going about it. They wanted somebody else. I don't know. But he's had this famous scream that was taken out of context. Like he was at some rally or something. The screen guy.
Howard Dean.
That's Howard Dean.
When he's like, woo, or something like that.
Yeah, but they used it to
is my
destroy him.
career over now because I just did it. Well,
right. But I think the important thing is with him, just like a lot of these Democrats, if you get too progressive, they cut you down, destroy you. And then with your character, you keep supporting the Democratic Party. He's one of those. I think he gets on MSNBC a lot. And does,
I have
a cushy job.
Horrific.
Well, I have no. People have asked me, and they still ask me to this day, and everybody who asked me, I appreciate it because I know it comes from a place of love. People are like, Jose, we want you to win. We want you in the Congress. Why don't you run as a Democrat?
God.
And it's like, I hear them out. Of course, these are people who and I really want this to be clear. I know that the people who ask me this mean well.
Yeah.
I understand where they're coming from. And I always say this, progressive Democrats have been saying since at least 2022, since at least Ritchie Torres was a sophomore in the Congress, that he's terrible and that he's not progressive. He's been breaking with the progressive, Democrats for a long time now. They knew how terrible he was. You're telling me they didn't primary this guy? You're telling me not a single Democrat decided to stand up and primary him?
Right.
I had to come in as an independent to have any real opposition to Ritchie Torres.
Yeah.
And so why? Because the Democratic Party likes Ritchie Torres. And I mean, the corporate wing of the Democratic Party loves Ritchie Torres.
Which is the whole Democratic Party. It is all corporate. And, that's the thing. They live in this world. They want to pretend that there's something progressive. I mean, post-genocide, how are you going to use the term progressive? I don't know. I mean, the longer I get in this, I just feel like somebody who runs in the Democratic Party, to make any level of success within that system, you have to be a sociopath. You have to be. Well, but like because now we're talking genocide. So these are votes to starve and bomb people. I mean, that's a level. That's a real level. And people normalize. I think that's my big campaign. Stop normalizing Democrats, people. Stop it. Stop it. They're not.
And Green Party is completely against that. Like Jill said, if she would have gotten elected day one, she would have called BB and said, that's enough. The money and the gravy train stopping.
I mean,
absolutely. Where was Kamala Harris never said anything remotely to that. And like this person right here behind me, like comes out and says they're working tirelessly for a ceasefire. Yeah. Oh, blow me. I was so fed up and done with her. The only thing that would have ever redeemed AOC for me was if she decided to run for president right there. If the convention was open and she was like, no, I don't trust anybody else. But no, instead she was rocking with Biden till the end.
The very end.
And she's like, no, he can still speak in full sentences. He can still stand on two legs. That makes him qualified to be president. Like, oh, come on. Everyone can see that we have a senile president.
Yeah.
Like people would respect you more if you just told the truth. Hey, our president is kind of insane right now, and maybe it's understandable why people want to vote for Trump because he can at least, say something without falling asleep, and that's not an endorsement of Trump, by the way. I hate that I have to always clarify. Like, yeah,
right.
Just because I say something bad about the Democrats doesn't mean I'm a Republican. Republicans are
I've been dealing with that for 10 years, I think, or more. Okay. Like, if I criticize a Democrat, they automatically assume I'm a Republican and vice versa.
Right.
And, I talk to my dad every day. He's 80. And I'm like, Dad, I don't like them either, right?
Right.
We have that when we tabled at a university recently where we have a chalkboard sign that says deport Marco Rubio.
Oh,
and
your slogans are the best.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. It really is a lot of fun. And then a lady walks by, and I try to say like, hey, come over, let's talk. What do you think about my sign? She's like, well, I'm a Republican, sweetie. And I said, well, I'm sorry to hear that. And she says, I'm sorry, you're a Democrat. It's like, no, I'm not.
Right.
They're just as bad. And she's like, well, then maybe you're just stupid.
Wow, that's a little mean. I know. One time when I was, I think I was handing out stuff for Jill at the farmer's market. This guy's like, oh, no, I'm a Democrat. And I'm like, why? He's like, I just am. And I'm like, why? Yeah. He couldn't give me one reason.
Yeah.
Not one. I said, well, you're not Green Party yet, but we'll see.
And that's the thing, I rag on liberals all the time. And it's a hard thing to understand how you can turn off the reality of what happens in this country, what we do to other countries, how we destroy them all and murder all of those people I mean, millions upon millions over the history of the, past 5 decades. And yet they can still treat it like it's a team sport. As long as their team wins, then they're good.
Well, I want to play the last clip here in a sec, and we'll stop bagging on the Dems because I know a lot of people get tired of us doing that. And let's spend the last 30 minutes talking about what you will do better than the Democrats.
There you
and
go.
The Republicans.
Okay.
So, Ariel, if you want to play
it.
I think it's Jamal Bowman's clip. I think.
Oh, and that's a good
Security
transition.
Council had a meeting yesterday.
I was on
and
Jeffrey.
Raymond
Hakeem
Govern
Jeffries.
spoke to it. He is a former member of the CIA, and he testified in support of Seymour Hersh's article on the United States bombing Nord Stream pipeline. If it is proven that the United States bombed the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, as has been asserted by Seymour Hersh and his article, will you call for the United States to acknowledge and admit that that was an act of war against Germany and Russia? And I'm asking this because this may be the only way to prevent the rest of us from being killed in a thermonuclear war. And I don't want to be fried. Don't you think the media should be reporting on whether or not this is true? And don't you think you should be inquiring into whether or not this is true?
Well, thank you for the question. One, I've got no information to suggest that the United States was involved in bombing the Nord Stream pipeline.
Because you weren't briefed on it.
Sir, you got your chance to ask a question.
So you got an opportunity to respond.
You weren't given information because he explicitly says you weren't briefed on it.
Right.
Shouldn't you inquire?
So here's what I'll say about, I think, President Biden's leadership generally as it relates to the Ukraine and Russia.
We committed an act of war. What are you doing to respond to that? We have to hold Biden accountable. So listen, you're from Brooklyn, right? You know when to call bullshit when you see it. So do I. This is bullshit right now. And I see what's happening right now. That does not silence me.
So,
you can hear me right now. I want you to say something about the bombing because we're all going to die from a nuclear war right now unless you stop it and you at least put and inquire into whether or not it's true. This war in Ukraine is going to leave us all dead. So what are you going to do? Because you need to inquire. I'm a New Yorker too.
Here's what I'll say.
Say it.
We're going to continue to stand with the Ukrainian people.
That's fucking bullshit. Do not do that. You will end us all dead.
In this war against Vladimir Putin.
Peace. We need talks.
Because
why are you sabotaging talks? Do not put your hands on me. We need peace talks. I am not going to take this. We need peace talks. You are leaving. Listen.
Democracy.
Did you even read the allegations?
Autocracy. It's a battle between
how
about
accountability? Not airheadedness.
And it's a battle between
tyranny
and freedom. And democracy, truth, and freedom will prevail. And the United States is going to help make sure that happens.
Not destruction. How about that?
Ask you to join me for
You
a round of
goddamn
applause.
airhead, you're gonna kill us all! I don't want to die in a goddamn nuclear war, and nobody does! Oh God!
Thank you, Jose.
Thank you for showing me that.
Yeah.
Doesn't that just do your soul a little bit of good? Like, no, who was up there? Was it? Who was
that? Was Hakeem Jeffries.
Hakeem Jeffries.
I
think I got it wrong. Yeah.
No, it took. I actually did. I did one before that one where both Bowman and Jeffries were.
Okay, I got them mixed up.
I've done a lot of these. I've done like maybe 30 of them or so.
Yeah.
And no, what was great about that clip, I haven't seen that one in a while. So it's like I felt the anxiety as if I was doing it again. That's why I was like, oh, it's
the dude took off your jacket and everything. Like,
oh yeah, that one was wild. Okay, just to talk a little bit about that, and then we can transition into what my ideas are to fix the Bronx. But that one, Hakeem Jeffries had just done the that speech on the House floor. Maybe you remember where he did that alphabet thing, where he's like, instead of autocracy, we're gonna have, I don't remember what he said, automation. Instead of dictators, we're gonna have democracy.
Yeah, Lord,
and he like did A to Z. So at the end, when you see me say, how about I forgot what I said, something, not airheadedness. How about bridges, not bombs? How about conversation, not cremation, not just diplomacy, not destruction? And that was like an insult to him and his. First of all, Hakeem Jeffries is an airhead. I'm not being insulting.
No.
Objectively, this man has nothing up there other than pure hot air. Okay, and
It was
like,
it was all talking points.
it was
Like I'm
Right.
trying to hear him a little bit while you were yelling at him, and I'm like, it just sounds like he's reading off a script, which is probably exactly what he was doing.
Yes. No, and that's the amazing thing, Jose, to watch you and others like Code Pink and Gray Zone, and they go after these people. What you hear is all they have to offer is talking points. They actually know nothing of the subject. That I mean, Bowman, when they went after Bowman and asking questions about Ukraine, he didn't know a thing. I mean, not a thing. And that is the amazing thing. We know, the three of us know way more about the politics of our government than these politicians. And I'm not trying to be, I mean, seriously, these people don't know anything but what they're told to say.
Yeah. And we had proof of that with Cori Bush and Jamal Bowman. They did that little interview after they both got ousted.
Yeah.
Talking about Joe Biden called into the Progressive Caucus room while what's his face? The rotating villain, Kirsten Sinema and Joe Manchin were out there saying, we're never going to vote for this bill that Joe is saying that they're going to put up next. So they already know it's defeated, but they weren't going to tell the Progressive Caucus so they would get in line and vote for whatever he wanted.
Yeah, and that only goes to tell you more about the absolute failure and facade that the two-party system is as a whole. You know, there is no two-party system. There's one party, and they're fascists. I would like a second party, as my friend Garland Nixon says. You know, it's like everyone wants a third party. I'm okay with the second one.
Yeah,
I forgot about that. Yeah.
I'm jealous you're friends with Garland Nixon. I'm a huge fan. Huge fan.
He's a great guy. You should get him on the show sometime.
Oh, maybe you would.
Maybe you got the booking link, send it to him. Cool with that.
Be happy.
But I also want to remind our audience, thanks everybody for tuning in. We are trying to get to 500 subscribers. So please like, subscribe, and share to at least 2 friends.
And also
right now.
Yes. And then go to Jose's website. And we just have that across the banner. Help me with it, Jose.
VoteVega.nyc.
There you go. VoteVega.nyc. Yes, please.
Because you're going to be running in 26 as well. So you want to tell us a little bit about your campaign?
Absolutely. So I've done a lot of kind of soul searching. I mean, the first time that I ran against Ritchie Torres, it was more like, is no one going to challenge this guy? Like, seriously? And I actually, and just to kind of give you a little, like, you know, down low stuff that I didn't really talk about was, I did start talking to people in the community that, you know, are kind of like movers and shakers who also hated Ritchie Torres. And they told me, this was like January, like, yeah, we think that this person may want to run for Congress against Ritchie Torres. And this was somebody who was Bernie Sanders endorsed, ran the first time in 2018 and, you know, was like endorsed by AOC and stuff before she was mulling over this primary run on Ritchie Torres. So I look at this person on social media. She's saying all the right things. It looks like she's gearing up for an announcement. And then suddenly her account, she privates her account and she deletes any mentions of Ritchie Torres. And then I find out that she ended up getting a cushy job working for the city. You know, so, you know, she was clearly told, no, don't do this.
Exactly.
And she took it. So, you know, so then when I found out, that was the final barrier for me because, you know, I might have led like, okay, well, if somebody else is primary in this asshole, like it's more important to get this asshole out. So that was, but then it's like, no one's really going to primary this guy. And it's like, I'm not a Democrat. I'm not going to go against this guy under their party because like clearly their party is they're okay with genocide. So I'm like, independent, let's do this. So, you know, that's why I ran. I ran because the Bronx needed to free itself of colonialism. And right now we are currently being, you know, occupied by this puppet named Ritchie Torres. Now, why am I running this time? You know, first of all, I'm glad I ran the first time because now I know what it takes. There was a lot of learning. There's a lot of learning. So I'm 26 now. I was 25. I think it's not a big deal difference, but you know,
it's been a long year. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I guess right. That's what came through. It's like, oh yeah, it's been a year. It's like, oh wait, it's only a year. You know, but it was quite a long year. A year that like took me, you know, I quit my job so I could do campaigning full time. And then I quickly found out you can only pay yourself whatever you paid whatever you made in whatever you reported to taxes the year before is what you can pay yourself as a candidate, which turns out I only made $21,000, which is about $400 a week.
Yeah.
So I was living off of, I gave up my job. I was living off of $400 a week, and I was just learning all that you needed to do about running a campaign. As you can see, I have an office now.
Yeah.
Office. I
Well,
have
in some parts of the country that might work, but not New York, right?
Yeah.
Well, you know, I don't know, but I stuck with my guns. I was living off of you know, just the generosity of friends, and you know, really becoming an ultimate penny pincher. But the thing that I learned, the most valuable lesson I learned off of that campaign is that even when you're doing all you can, and it's a hard truth, even if you're doing all you can, it may not be enough. And obviously it wasn't enough because, you know, we got 2.5% of the vote. It's not something I'm ashamed to talk about. It's just the reality of it. But for my first time, I thought, well, that was 4,000 something people that ended up voting for me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mean, I have this office, I have staff, I have a year and a half to go. I have a great base of people who support me already, you know, that in some way allow us to continue to keep our campaign going. But that doesn't mean I'm not looking for new people. Vote Vega.nyc, please donate.
Right. Go to the website, folks.
Seriously.
Never enough. Never enough.
We have a $4,000 weekly quota. You know, that's just our basic operating expenses. So,
wow.
you know, definitely help us out.
Yes.
But why am I running again this year? Well, I got word that Ritchie Torres may be running for governor, which means he may have to abandon the seat. But quite frankly, I have a different orientation now, which is that I don't care who they put up to run in this district. Let them put up some other corporate suit. Let them put up some puppet. I don't care. My goal this year, even though it's not the election year, this year is to get enough people who want to stand up against evil people, injustice, and say, I want to fight for a planet that doesn't have an inch of poverty on it anymore.
Right. Right.
That's what I'm building this year. So that when next year, when we are actually like seriously campaigning, not that we aren't already, because we are doing tables 3 times a week, you know, all over the Bronx and some other parts of New York City, but mostly the Bronx. You know, we're doing our classes in person here in the office, Fridays, Saturdays. But when it comes to 2026, whoever they decide to put up here to replace Ritchie Torres, they will not know what hit them.
There you go.
Nice.
We are creating a truly independent movement, free from labels. I have people who wear MAGA hats who work on my campaign, and I have people who were out there supporting Jamal Bowman, wearing the Jamal Bowman t-shirts, you know, when he was getting assaulted by AIPAC, right? We are building a real independent coalition movement of people who say we just need to take back our government, and we're doing it in the context of the 250th anniversary of the founding of this country. I think it's going to require American citizens redefining what it means to be an American. If you allow the imperial, oligarchical, genocidal, fascist assholes to just dictate what America is, especially on its 250th birthday, then that's what it will be.
Yeah.
But we here in the Bronx live in the tradition of people like Gouverneur Morris. This is a founding father that not a lot of people know. Gouverneur Morris wrote the preamble to the United States Constitution. You guys know the famous words, "We the people."
Yeah.
We the people of, you know, the United States. That's in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States. You know where he was from? The Bronx.
Yes.
Okay. He is buried in the South Bronx, you know, the poorest part of this district. That's where he's buried, down at St. Anne's Church. And you go around that neighborhood, it looks like crap. You go to his gravesite, it looks like crap, because that is a reflection of what the people in charge actually think about the Constitution. And Gouverneur Morris went to the Constitutional Convention and just like vehemently made arguments against slavery, saying it was stupid, it will be a stain forever, and we should not continue this practice. And these and it wasn't just him. Hamilton also was very vocal against slavery, and a handful of others. But that's who the Bronx is, okay? We come from that tradition of people who spoke up against slavery, who were pro-development. That's what we are, okay? That's what the Bronx is. That's who I am, and that's what we are building here. And I'm looking for people who want to fight in that spirit. And so one of the things that we're calling for in terms of policy is a retooling on a first, I'll give you the national, and then I'll work down to the Bronx.
Okay.
You have so much money and so much industry into war, right? We have like now $1 trillion Pentagon budget, which is insane. You have a lot of companies that produce and manufacture weapons, that manufacture military aircraft, military vehicles, when those same factories could be used to produce things like high-speed rail, could be used to manufacture steel plants, stuff that's productive to invent new forms of technology that wouldn't pollute our rivers and our waters, you know, stuff that could be used in places like Palestine to rapidly develop it and rebuild it, because that's what it's going to take. Can you imagine $1 trillion yearly budget just to bring high-speed rail to the United States? You know,
it'd be a done deal.
It would be a done deal. I would be able to get to California in 7 hours if we had a high-speed rail, or Washington, D.C. in like less than an hour, Boston in less than an hour, Florida in 2 to 3 hours. I mean, like, it's just insane that right now we are currently like in just profiting off of these wars, these endless wars, which Trump said he wanted to end, and yet he
didn't mean
no indication of that at all whatsoever. Now, how does the Bronx fit into that? Because the Bronx, which is like the district I'm running in, is the current poorest congressional district in the entire country per capita.
Wow.
Per capita. The highest child poverty is here. The highest illiteracy rate is here. It's all here in the Bronx, concentrated in parts of the South Bronx. We are going to turn this district from the poorest congressional district in the country into the most modern, advanced, scientifically advanced research center for anybody in the world who wants to learn advanced aeronautic engineering, astrophysics, or nuclear research, or whatever it takes to rebuild the country. They're going to learn it here in the Bronx, and I will make sure of it. That's how we're going to rebuild the Bronx. It's going to be centered around development for people's minds, and that's why we call it a space CCC. You know, it's modeled after FDR's Civilian Conservation Corps. We have a modern space civilian construction corps. The idea would be that anybody who comes through this program would, after 2 years, would be at the level of a STEM engineer who could work at NASA. That's how good and advanced they will be at the end of this program. This is all in the tradition of FDR, and it can be done, and it must be done. And there's a way to do it. You know, you take the union leaders who are retiring out now, and you take the young people who are illiterate and uneducated, and you give them an education. You teach them advanced industry building. You teach them machining, welding, whatever it is they need to know to do the national projects that they need to do. And this is also how you solve immigration too. You have an influx of people coming in, and you're saying that, you know, you need them to be productively employed, and you don't have a place for them. When is the last time the United States built a new city? The last city we built that I know of was Las Vegas. Right? So
we can't even maintain the ones we have.
We can't even maintain
we
the
refuse
ones we
to.
have.
We refuse to.
We can't even maintain the ones we have.
Yeah.
So what you do is, if you mapped out the entire United States and you said this is what it needs for a modern day retooling effort, you would realize you don't have enough people. Like if everybody who is an adult, working age, you know, capable to actually start working and rebuilding the United States, you don't have enough people in the United States alone to rebuild the United States within 8 to 10 years.
Okay.
So you're going to need people who
it's called investing in our country instead of war and death around the world, right?
Exactly.
So our chapter on Earth Day was yesterday. Happy Earth Day.
Yeah. Right. That
We screened a movie called 2040.
Okay.
And it's available on Kinema, which is a great platform. You can rent it on there, but we did it, we showed, to our chapter and stuff and invited the neighborhood. But it looks at it from like this Australian man is looking at his young daughter. She looks like she's about 6 or 7. What it's going to look like in 2040 for her. So he's like, so we need to use everything that we already have available to us. And the way they described it was fantastic. They really explained that we have all the tools we need. We just aren't doing it yet. And that was done in 2019. So I'd love to talk to this guy now to see what he thinks about what's going on now. But it's an excellent documentary.
And Jose, I really appreciate that you are very much solutions oriented in your campaign, because I think that is so necessary, and it's so refreshing, because honestly, you just look at, like, sorry to go back to Ritchie Torres, but you look at his Twitter feed and it's all Israel. That's all it is Israel posts. And that is one of the problems, is that our government has been taken over by Zionists. And so, America is not the number one priority of our politicians.
It's
not even
Israel
close.
First right now.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And along with that, because it's Israel first, it's also war first. And so, I think your ideas are excellent. And that's what we need. We need solutions that are going to turn the country around, because we are on a fast decline. Fast decline.
Absolutely. And that's the sort of main enchilada about this. Sorry, it was dumb. I whenever I'm explaining things to people, I say, let me give you the whole enchilada.
Yeah, that works.
It's the whole enchilada of what I'm running for this year. I'm not running against someone or something. I'm running for an idea.
Great.
I'm running for an idea that the United States can actually be a place that people want to live in, can develop their fullest creative potential, and make life better for the Americans that are going to be born 100 years after they're dead.
Yeah.
That's what I'm running for.
Right.
So that's why I say let them run whatever corporate tool they want, because I will smoke whoever they put up there, because they don't have any ideas.
No.
They're empty suits, and they're full of empty promises.
Completely empty.
I didn't want you to forget about your fundraiser, because
So beautiful. Thank you. Yes. So I'm having a fundraiser in the Bronx, May 3rd. You can go to votevega.nyc. Actually, I stealthily edited the website while I was on this show. There is now a fundraiser button on the website. If you go to votevega.nyc, and then you go to fundraiser, you can buy a ticket to come. I know the price is a little steep. So if it's a fundraiser, if it's a problem for you, please reach out to me. I mean this sincerely. I want people to come to this. We are also trying to raise resources. I will work something out with you. I'm interested in building a movement. And I say this in every interview, that if you're unable to volunteer, because time to the campaign really does make a difference. If you're in a place where you can't get to New York City easily or accessibly, I want you, then only then can you donate. Only then, if you can't volunteer in person, then please, support us with your finances. So if you'd like to attend the fundraiser, it'll be in the Bronx. It's a delicious lunch. It's from 1 to 4. I promise it'll be delicious. I've been to that place. It's really good. I keep emphasizing how good food is. All I'll say is it's Italian food. I don't want to say any more. The address will be given upon once you get a ticket, for safety reasons and stuff. And there are some guest speakers to be announced yet. Please help us. What we're trying to do is we're trying to build we've calculated like the bare expenses for the rest of the year is going to be about $50,000.
Wow.
And so in order just to make sure that we can get through the year, that's about what we need, so that we don't have to focus on the stuff like maintaining the office, so that we can actually continue to build an independent movement, know that we're secure at least for the year, so that we can focus on the important stuff like building important relationships with people in the Bronx, people around the country, making sure that people around the country can feel confident that they can start something wherever they are too. So, for example, I'm not interested in setting up like chapters around the country for my organization. And no, and this is no disrespect to the Green Party at all.
No, of course not.
I simply mean that if somebody is watching this and they're in South Carolina, they're in Wyoming, and they say, you know what, I want to start something in my community, but it's going to look different than what they're doing in New York City. Basically, I want this to encourage you to get out there and do something and start something and declare your independence. And if that looks like joining the Green Party to you, which, these people are lovely, and then do that.
Right.
You're
right.
inspired to start your own, just like no label, like I just want to start an independent movement. Do that. Whatever calls to you because of what you've heard today, I want you to be encouraged by that.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to go and just declare your independence.
There you go.
Way that means to you.
Yes. No, absolutely. Absolutely. Go ahead.
Yeah, Ariel mentioned that there's an article that we're going to put up. Perfect segue.
Oh, well, I don't know if is it the one that I talked about. I don't know. It kind of, we kind of covered that stuff.
We don't have to.
Yeah, I think, you know what? I'd rather hear from some folks, read some comments, because that was kind of just how, left.
Sure, no problem.
Unity.
Oh my gosh. We got
there.
36 comments. What?
Yeah, so let's just hear from some folks.
Okay. Wow.
And it doesn't matter. Any comments are great.
I haven't even been paying attention. Eric Powery. No, you're not. You're running as independent.
I'm not running under the Green Party, but they're lovely people and they're great. And if you ever did want to do a fusion ballot, I'm open to it.
There you go.
In New York, at least, you can run under different lines. You don't have to just be one. Right.
Oh, okay.
Oh, nice.
There's people here in New York that are running on both the Democrat and Republican line. It's crazy. It's
Say
crazy.
what now? Well,
Yes,
that just
I'm
proves
not
our
kidding.
point, right?
I'm
It's the
not
same
kidding.
darn party.
Yeah, there you go. They proved the point.
Yeah. So be proud. I got 77 votes when I ran for mayor.
There you go. There
Well,
you go.
wow.
And we've got
Dems will
Alexandria
assuredly
Keating.
prop
We've
up.
got Alexandria Keating in the.
I'm
let's
just
have some-
going through.
Yeah, let's get one from Alexandria. She's going to be running in the Green Party for District 10 in Illinois, U.S. Congress.
I'm still looking. Hang on. There's a lot here. There's Alexandria. What's up, Alexandria?
Yay.
Hi, Alexandria.
Yes.
So I just want to back up. Malcolm's birthday is coming up May 19th. We need a day. We need a day, an International Day of Solidarity.
Yes, there you go. Yep, absolutely.
I literally get AI to write a iambic pentameter whenever I remember. I always have to tell it not to mention.
Oh, that's
what
'cause
is that about?
We were talking about Shakespeare.
Right.
We were talking about Shakespeare earlier.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's brilliant. AI does your Shakespeare.
Oh, and seriously, love Chicagoans and do dissidents too. Yeah.
Oh,
good
yeah.
people.
Yeah. Kit from Hardlands Media is another Chicagoan.
Oh,
Yep.
yes.
Yep.
We love
Yep,
Kit.
he's
Absolutely.
fantastic.
Yes.
Many of us regret many decisions we've made.
Yeah.
How can we? Here's the question: how can we swing blue states green? I guess I need to ask AI, but we need to be asking ourselves that consistently.
Yeah. Well,
Let's answer that one if we can.
I mean, I think that's a long process, and I think what Jose said is right. I think independence is the important thing, but you're right. We have to break people of this duopoly brain thinking, and to get them to understand that they really are the same. They just work in different. They set up a system to keep them fighting at each other. So that's how this process continues and continues. And once you can break out, once the Matrix is the big theme of that. Once you can break out of it, you see what they're doing. You see the propaganda. The media also keeps that propaganda going. That's what they're there for. They're paid to do that. They are paid to keep the duopoly contest happening. So it's just about breaking that.
Absolutely. No, I'm with you all the way, and that's why I'm saying, like, declare your independence. That's the other thing about the American Revolution is that, like, Jefferson and Hamilton hated each other. They abhorred each other and each other's policies, but they understood that they had to fight against the British. They knew that they needed to get rid of the oligarchical rule.
This is what Americans don't get.
Exactly.
We need to join forces and defeat what's happening now. And then once, you know, the crazy fascists and hyper capitalists and all the stuff that's wrong with our country, let's just do the things we all agree on. And then we can work out the other details in a minute.
It took 6 years between the end of the American Revolution and the ratification of the Constitution. So think about that, right? So it's like we kick the British out. We kick the British out. Now let's form a new government. It took 6 years. Think about all the squabbling. Think about all the disagreements that happened in those 6 years. We're like, okay, wait, we came together. We got rid of these stupid oligarchical fascists. Now what? Now let's come up with a 6 years.
Yeah, right.
So I'll keep reading a few more while we have time. So thank you, Elvira, since she likes my smile.
And I can end with 2 poems. I promise.
Oh, excellent.
Okay.
So
let's see. Yeah. So best of luck to you, Jose. Feel free to reach out to me if you need any folks to talk to the Greek community in your district.
Yes.
I'm always honored to help.
Yes.
Yeah, I know one word in Greek, agape, which means love.
Nice. Excellent.
Okay. Now I can't. Hang on. I lost it. Ariel, help me.
Well, Jose, if you want to give us your poems, that would be absolutely fantastic.
There it goes.
Sure. Absolutely. Oh, it seems like there's a question in the chat.
Oh.
I would be happy to take that one. How would you implement
which one?
surrounding the arts? So for people who don't know, I'll read it. There are fields of work currently not really taught available in the Bronx. How would you implement more programs surrounding the arts, which is also important? That's a great question. And people don't know this part of me, but I worked for a nonprofit called the Foundation for the Revival of Classical Culture. One of the things that we did, I did this from 2016 when I graduated high school, pretty much up until COVID, because then, school shut down and stuff. And one of the things that really I got to be involved with was my immersion into the classical arts. I loved Shakespeare. I loved opera. I loved classical music. And to be able to share that, the love of theater, my love of theater, with other children and other teenagers who were just trying to figure out who they were and trying to, what I would do if I was a congressman is that apart from leading my own chorus in a high school, I would pick a high school in the Bronx and I would say, we're going to meet every Friday night or something, and we're going to come together and we're going to have a chorus and we're going to sing some music. I would probably put on some workshops where we can teach people stuff like writing plays, writing poetry, writing actual things of substance that, how to write, how to just write, how to be literate. But most importantly, the point of the arts, especially the classical arts, but any good piece of art does this. It reminds you that being human is a sublime thing and that it ultimately should appeal to the most beautiful part of you. And that's important when you're a teenager and when you're a child and you're like, who am I? Am I just this blob of angsty mess, which I was as a teenager? And you find your identity as a human being, and it reminds you that being a human being is inherently beautiful and being a human being is inherently good. And so you have to expose people, especially at a young age, to the art. You have to expose people to good, beautiful music, because that is a reflection of their soul. The thing that moves somebody to tears is what's in them already. And it's like when you get to touch your soul when there's a piece of art that moves you to tears. I had that experience when I listened to Beethoven's Ninth and I understood what was being sung. To be able to have that experience is just great.
Wow.
So
I 100% agree with you, and I would also throw in actual art. Because I'm a painter.
Painting.
I'm a painter, and Scott is
visual.
a musician.
I do tours. Well, my friends do tours at the Met Museum. If you'd like to come, this is open to all of you. So if you guys want to come, I can tell you all about Jacques-Louis David. I can tell you about Rembrandt. I can tell you about. I knew all about the. Sorry, you put me on the spot. My favorite is the Italian Renaissance painters. Absolutely great.
Yes.
I am a huge fan of Van Gogh and Edward Munch.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So I like more of the post-impressionist era, and that's kind of my style a little bit. I do a lot of oceans and landscapes and a little bit of figurative, but they always mean something.
Well,
the
do you
themes-
know about Church? Church, you know, the American painter Church, who like did these like massive landscapes.
But like I don't quite remember, but I've heard of it. Yeah.
You know, art, especially painting, played a very important role in the American Revolution because a lot of them were self-taught and they were putting little messages into the. You're self-taught too?
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty cool because they were putting in messages of support of the American Revolution in their paintings in subtle ways. Like, for example, you would never have thought that a painting of some guy who's sitting with his legs crossed, he's holding a little cigar box, and in it is George Washington, right? But you wouldn't know that that's political unless you actually understood what was happening in the contemporary of that time, right? So it's like one of the most fun things to do is to like go to the Met, look at the American history section and look at the paintings. Now, on the postmodernist impression stuff in high school, that was my introduction to art. I was learning about people like, and to this day, he's still a guilty pleasure of mine, although I don't. Marcel Duchamp was like, you know, the sort of surrealist, the Dadaists. I was a huge fan. But Edie, I'm telling you, if you ever come to New York, we can go to the Met.
Oh yeah,
friends. Like
there we go.
This is so great. This is so great. You have no idea.
I would love it.
Love the arts.
Yes,
all of them. And I'm sorry I didn't throw in painting. You know, of course.
That's okay. That's okay. That's why I'm here.
Hold on, stay right there. I actually have like one of my favorite Goya. Like this is one of my Goya.
Okay. Oh yes.
Illustrations. This one says Aún aprendo, which means I still learn. This is a self-portrait of Francisco Goya when he's 78, right? And so he's like still, you know, learning. That's the You got me excited now.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know when I can afford to do that.
Artists, so
I'd want to combine it with going to see Billy Joel at Madison Square.
Oh, there you go.
Because Billy Joel's my other guy.
My friend is a drawer. She knows that I like Romeo and Juliet. So for my birthday, she drew this for me. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh, yes.
It's the death scene, you know, where Juliet wakes up and
Oh my God.
No, it's like, all right.
And the reason that I believe all three of us love art so much because it speaks to the human condition.
Yes.
And even a great, you know, film or now streaming is kind of better than the theater, in my opinion. I'm rewatching Handmaid's Tale and it makes me cry every day.
Yeah.
I mean, because it speaks to the human condition, and that is what art is for. Like everything else is to make things work, but art is for your soul, and it's your reason for living, right? It's the reason that we're here.
Yeah.
All right.
To love people and to experience the human condition.
Yeah.
Well, maybe can I leave you with two poems now?
Yes,
All
please.
All right. I'll do a Shakespeare one and then I'll do a Robert Frost one.
Okay.
They're both short. But on this idea of the human condition, the soul, what we're here for, I think this sonnet 22, I pulled it up because I'm trying to memorize it, but and I don't know if you know, people anyway, it's sonnet 22. My glass shall not persuade me that I am old, so long as youth and thou are of one date. But when in thee time's furrows I behold, then look I death my days should expiate. For all that beauty that doth cover thee is but the seemly raiment of my heart, which in thy breast doth live as thine in me. How can I then be elder than thou art? Oh, therefore, love, be of thyself so wary, as I not for myself, but for thee will, bearing thy heart, which I will keep so chary, as tender nurse her babe from faring ill. Presume not on thy heart when mine is slain. Thou gavest me thine, not to give back again. So I always think about like my dad or my mom, like, you know. All right.
Yes.
That's one. Okay. Now this one I do know by memory. It's super short. Maybe you guys know it. It's called Stopping by the Woods on a Snowy Evening. And I think all of us as organizers and political activists and candidates, and we've all had this moment in our lives where we've just decided to stop by the woods on a snowy evening. Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though. He will not see me stop here to watch his woods fill with snow. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near, between the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. He gives his harness bells a shake, as if to ask if there's been some mistake. The only sound, downy wind and snowy flake. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep.
I have never heard that whole poem. Of course, I've heard the last line a million times, but wow, that is beautiful.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite. That's one of my favorite phrases. The last part.
Yeah, of course. That's
right.
Yeah, but
the woods are
wow.
lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had no idea
It
that was
really
the
speaks
setting
to-
of that. I had no idea. Oh, that's
Yeah.
fantastic, Jose.
Wow,
No,
you're
the-
welcome. Everybody's saying awesome.
No, I look, I love art. I'm so glad for that
Yeah.
question, because like anytime I can like talk about my love for the arts is like
Oh God, yes.
that's it.
That's
Well-
so important to both of us here.
You can
at-
hang on for a couple after if you want to chat afterwards for a second. That's fine. But we will end that here. And I just want to thank everybody so very much for being here today. And
Thanks,
go check out
everybody.
Jose's website, votevega.nyc.
Yes.
I know it's a little under construction, but I think you can still donate, correct?
You can still donate, you can still volunteer, and you can still get fundraiser tickets.
There you
So,
go.
Yes.
So more
Yes.
exciting things to come, but yeah, I'd like to pick your brain a little. So
Yeah,
if you
thank
like.
you so much, Jose, for coming. We really appreciate that you took your time out to come. and
No, thank
say
you.
hi
This
to
has
us.
been fun. This has been so fun, especially having people who love art. It's like, you know, I wish I could turn my camera. We have a frame of, I'm not gonna take it off the wall, but we
Oh.
have a frame of Einstein playing the violin like
Ah.
up on my office, you know, and
You got
Well, you
quite
see
an
what's
office
behind me,
there.
right?
Yeah,
What's-
right.
yeah,
what's
and then like
Books.
over there we have like
Oh,
a
Kalia.
wall.
Kalia's here.
What's
Yeah.
up, Kalia?
Hey, Kalia.
She says good luck on your campaign.
Yes.
Thank you kindly.
And Mariella says wow.
All right.
Art is the ultimate affair.
Yes.
Unifier. I thought I said affair.
Yes,
I'm like, it's kind of
absolutely,
affair, too.
Alexandria.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Saturday we're going to be doing our spring convention. So Scott and I are going to be there. We're going to try to get some interviews and stuff for y'all. So tune in.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll try to get
All right.
Alexandria on if you're going to be there. I think you're going to be there,
Yeah.
Alexandria. So yes.
Yeah.
So
All right.
thanks everyone, and thank you.
Thanks,
Jose, for
everyone.
really-
We'll see you then.
Uprising, we're rising up. It's an uprising, we're rising up. It's an uprising. Fight the power. It's an uprising. Fight the power.